what's good, everybody? If you are new to my show, which you are, I want to introduce you to my good friend, Chris Luna. He's from San Diego, and he's a huge real estate investor, in my opinion. And we'll share our experiences, how we met, and all that stuff here later on. But Chris, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on the show, Jay Real. I love your last name, man. Keeping it real.
Absolutely, man. So, just for everybody to hear, so I'm gonna name this podcast "Keeping It Real with Jay Real," and that's because of Chris's advice. So, um, if you guys don't know, which he'll plug it in later on, he also is a podcaster and a content creator, and we've actually been talking for quite some time about like launching this together. But nonetheless, Chris, thank you for taking the time to hop on this podcast. I know your time is very valuable, and I appreciate you hopping on and being my first podcast guest here on the channel.
Absolutely, man. I love how this came about. We were at Ryan Pineda's WealthCon. We're hanging out at VIP day 2, or maybe it's day 3, I forget. And I said, put it on the calendar. If you put it on the calendar, we have to make it happen. So that's a little secret hack right off the bat. If you keep your calendar full of things to do, you tend to do more because you can't back out. You made that commitment. So I'm happy we're here, man. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you. I'm honored to be one of your
Yeah,
first guests. This is amazing.
yeah, absolutely, man. I just want to say, as if you're already seeing some of my new contents that I've been putting out, it's actually clips from when Chris interviewed me in his podcast. So
That's right.
people were asking like, "Who are you talking to?" And that I'm like, "Yeah, it's my boy Chris Luna." Um,
Yeah, dude. That backdrop was looking fresh in those videos.
oh yeah, sick. It looks fake,
It does look fake.
but it's
Hey,
amazing.
haters will say it's photoshopped.
Right, right. No, it's amazing, bro.
Yeah,
I mentioned it to you like when I got to your penthouse in San Diego. One of the best views I've ever seen, and
appreciate that.
I definitely want to ask you about how you got to where you're at today from before, but just from for people that don't know who you are, can you tell us who you are, your background, and initially what led you to become an entrepreneur and becoming a real estate investor?
Yeah, absolutely. So my story goes back to when I was a little kid. I was already trying to mow lawns. I started a lawnmower business. Okay, me and my brother. I think we had 0 customers, but we tried. We were putting signs on people's doors. I always liked to make money. I would go and buy candy bars and sell them to the friends on our street. So I always had this entrepreneur spirit. It was always in me just to make a quarter or a dollar. I'd sell C's candy, anything. I just
Wow.
like making money. When I got a little older, we started selling basketball cards and flipping cards and Pokemon, and I was just always into making money.
Yeah.
Fast forward, I'm probably 23 years old. I start working at the Hotel del Coronado, senior year of college. And I realized there's this, my manager there. He wasn't very nice. I felt like he was very bossy. I was like, I'm not going to enjoy working for other people. I just knew it already. So it was a blessing in disguise. When I left that job, I started my first business, iGeeks iPhone repair, cell phone repair, and I fixed phones from 2012 to 2021. So about 10 years, 10 years. And it's very successful. Made a lot of money. I start taking that money and pushing it into real estate. We can go into that later, but that's kind of the progression of me into a business owner entrepreneur.
Wow. So you actually did that for a long time.
A long time. People didn't
Yeah.
know me back then when I was doing that. That was just
Oh,
grinding. I'm sitting there fixing phones like 24/7, like a slave to my own business. I was a
right.
solopreneur.
Right. So you did like were you a solopreneur the entire time? You had your cell phone repair business?
Yeah, more or less. I had one guy, Alvaro. He was a rock star. So if I'd go and travel, I was partying in my 20s like any other 20-year
Right.
old. And so when I'd take off for the weekend, I'd go to Vegas, I'd go do my thing. He'd run the shop and he did a great job. But the problem with that business is I never trusted anyone to like have a big organization. I was too small. I was thinking small. I should have
Right.
scaled that to have franchises 10x across the US.
Right. And
But hey,
I mean
you live, you learn.
you you essentially survived as an entrepreneur for 10 years, and one of the things that based on statistics, I'd say 90, not I'd say, but based on stats, 97% of businesses fail by the 10th year mark. And
Oh, wow.
and that's just a stat from SBA. Those are some of the stats that we go over inside our 10x business ventures, our boot
Hmm.
camp, and things like that. But to be able to do what you did for 10 years and mainly as a solopreneur, man, that speaks volume of what you are as an entrepreneur. Um, and if you don't
Appreciate
mind me
that.
asking, like, with a cell phone repair, business, like, what would somebody like expect as a revenue, annually?
Yeah, that's a great question. I remember one month I did 40,000 and I was like on top of the world. I was probably like 25 or so, and it
Wow.
was summer. I don't know how old I was back then. But anyways, um so that was one month. But some years we would do 300K, 250, but our margins were ridiculous because
Right.
it's just glass and my
Right.
time. Which looking back on it, my time is worth more now, but still my margins were high and a lot of that was profit. We got to the point where we were actually manufacturing screens in the back room. We would be able to take the old LCD, saw the glass off of it like they would
Yeah.
do in China, and then sear a new piece of glass onto it, put it in this autoclave, like let it sit in is like chemistry class, bro. And I was literally making screens. So damn, I
Wow.
didn't even think about it. This whole time I've been telling people I was a cell phone repair company. It's true, but we were actually a manufacturing company of our own screens. My margins were ridiculous at that
Right.
company. So
I
yeah.
Yeah, I would think so. And then, I mean, obviously, it sounded like you were very successful doing that for 10 years. And what got you to shifting full time as a real estate investor and vice just continuing to scale that specific business that you had?
Yeah, that's a great question. I felt unfulfilled. I felt like there was no purpose to the cell phone repair business. I like it was exciting because people would like they'd be like all mad. They'd come into my office, my stores. I had 3 stores, all sad because they broke their phone. But
Right.
they'd leave all fired up and excited. So that was cool. But I was like, what am I doing at the end of the day? I'm not making an impact. I'm just solving a problem. So the real reason it actually started was around COVID 2020. San Diego State Aztec Shops, they were my landlord and they wanted to convert my space into a U-Haul, or not U-Haul, a what's it called, USPS, because of
Uh,
COVID and all the stuff. They wanted like a central place on campus that they could use, so all the mail would go there and they could make sure no COVID was on it. So I basically was forced out of my spot and I had to move out and I had to move on. And so I was at the crossroads. I was like, okay, go all in on real estate, which I had already owned 2 properties at the time
yeah.
as like a side gig,
Right.
or just go move back to PB and like go all in on the PB store, which was where I started it and did really well. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take a leap of faith. I'm going to go all in on this real estate thing. I got my license, studied all of October. My friends are traveling, having a good time, partying. And I remember sitting there like early mornings in my office, in my room studying. And I
Yeah.
was like, man, this sucks. Everyone's having fun except me. But I got my license and I hit the ground running. I closed like 10 million year one of having my
Wow.
license as
When
an
you said,
investor.
yeah, so when you say you got your license, is it as a real estate, like a real estate agent, or
Yeah. Yeah.
got it,
Yeah.
got
So I
it.
got my license and then I used my license to make acquisition fees, which is
Makes
like two and a
sense.
half percent. And then I roll that back into the deal. I do the work and I split the property 50-50 with partners.
That's smart, bro. So, but you
Yeah.
got your license with that in mind
Yes.
to use it for that, not
Yeah.
necessarily become a realtor and then got it, got it. That is very,
Yeah.
very smart. You
Thank you.
definitely save a lot of money. And if I was to actually venture to becoming a full time real estate investor, that would be the same exact route that I would take for
Yeah.
sure. Um,
Yeah. So the reason I did that is speed. I didn't want to have to go to an agent, right? Or go to my buddy Garrett and be like, "Yo, Garrett, can you like go and get this in escrow?" Like maybe Garrett was trying to buy that property. I don't know. So I'm like, dude, I want to move with speed, sense of urgency, and that's when I saw my business take off. When I was confident. When you're confident, the other agents, the other investors, the other sellers, they can feel it. There's a certain confidence about it. Grant talks about when you got the swag, you end up getting deals. So I knew having a license would be crucial to the success of me as a real estate investor.
that's amazing, man. So, if you don't mind me asking, what's your current portfolio today, and where do you see yourself in the next 5 years when it comes to real estate investments?
Yeah. So by the end of 2022, or prior to 2022, I had peaked at a portfolio value of 40 million. But I don't know
Wow.
if you know this, every time the feds increase rates, your values go down
Right.
because that's just how it works. So they're worth less. People are willing to pay less. So towards the end of 2022, I start selling off assets because I was trying to close this huge deal. So start selling a bunch of stuff. Portfolio value drops, right? Whatever. I start getting bought out by some partners, still being bought out by partners as we speak. I'm doing 2 buyouts within the next 14 days. I have 2 partners buying me out and I'm buying another out. So I'm kind of consolidating. On the come up, I was partnering with everyone, 15 people, 15 investors. And it was a lot, like
Right.
everyone needs something. I'm not whining. It is what it is. I scaled much further than going at it by myself.
By yourself,
But you
right.
get to a point where you just want some freedom. I don't want to like listen to anyone. I
Right.
trust my judgment always. So what I start doing is actually selling off and getting bought out and going into less assets, but I own 100% of them. So my portfolio value has shrank, but I'm going to own some sick properties by myself.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. If you're just starting, I think just partnering up with different investors as well, learning from their experiences, and then also getting that extra capital helps out a lot. But
Yep.
ultimately, kind of like what you're doing now is like you said, you're buying out other partners and consolidating, ultimately getting your own, for the most part, your own portfolio, and you build it from there. Is that the route that you're planning on doing as you move forward, or are you still potentially probably partnering with maybe one or two different probably investors?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, um, if it was just me running the shop solo, I would not be partnering with people. But because I have a team now and my team can run it, they can update the investors, they can raise the money, they can give, they can do the construction. I have a team to do it now. I just wouldn't want to partner with someone if I didn't feel like I could actually handle it. I got a lot going on these days, so I can't give it my all like I used to. And that's okay. Like I'm taking a step back from real estate because I'm focused on education and creating content, right? Because I know that's the top of the funnel that's going to lead to way more on the back end. So now that I've built a team to do that, I will partner with people for sure because I feel comfortable that we'd be able to keep investors happy, get the returns we want, and I could continue to do that. So yeah, we'll partner with people for sure.
That's amazing, man. And you mentioned, Grant Cardone earlier. Obviously,
Yes,
you and
sir.
we share the same mentor. For me, it's on the business side of things, and for you on the real estate side. But when did you get started being
I'm catching
around?
a little
Or
bit of I'm catching a little bit of static, just a little.
oh, how about now? Is it
I think
still
we're good.
there?
Yeah.
Okay. We let me know if it's like pretty bad. But in regards to my question about when you got started, partnering up with Grant Cardone, um, like could you tell me your journey about that and how that played into like what it is today?
Absolutely. I don't talk about this much. I think it was 2000. I don't know when it was, man. It could have been 2016, maybe 15, right before I bought my first deal. No one knows this. Dude, I had something happen to me that was like kind of bad. I got too drunk, stayed in like a taxi, and like basically like I got robbed $12,000. No one's ever heard this story. I lost
What?
$12,000 by a taxi driver, and I took him to court. We had cameras. They caught him. All this stuff. Never got the money back. Right, and so that was a tough time, man. I was like at an all time low. I was scared to live at the house I lived in, and I was like, dude, I got to turn my life around. It was my fault. I take responsibility. I should have not been too drunk
Right,
to be taken advantage of that and had money stolen.
right.
I had 12,000 cash because I was running a cell phone repair business and we were going to take it to the bank and I just happened to have it on me. I legit got robbed. So, anyways, um, I realized I had to change it. So I'm walking down the beach and I get served an ad by Grant Cardone. I think it was one of his books, Be Obsessed or Be Average.
Yep.
And I'm like,
Oh,
huh,
right.
yeah, boba. And I was like, I read it the same day or listened to it on Audible. I was like, yo, this is sick. This is me. I get obsessed about things.
Yeah.
So I just started listening to all his content, following him on YouTube. Early Grant on YouTube were so like important for my real estate career because every Monday he'd go live at 12 o'clock, and I watched those religiously. That's what gave me the idea to start going live because I know
Right.
it's helpful for people. So yeah, Grant. So that's like the beginning of how I heard about Grant. And then for years, I just took all his free content, like all the free stuff. Like I wasn't paying to go meet him. It wasn't until 2022, a year ago today, bro. I swear. It was a year
One
ago today. I joined his real estate club, and ever since I joined the real estate club, like a month later, they're like, "Hey, you want to be on TV and do a TV show?" I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And then ever since then, my brand has just up and to the
skyrocketed.
right, skyrocketed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talking about opportunities, being at the right time and in the right place,
Mm-hmm.
and that's pretty amazing. And yeah, um, actually, I already know about this episode, but for most people, probably it hasn't been put out there yet. But could you tell us a little bit about that and what
Sure.
kind of basically like experience you had in that episode?
Yeah, I'll take it back to the casting of it because I think that there's a story in this that I'm just going to kind of make up. But it's the truth. So before getting, they called me and I had a cast for the position, right? And most people, they'd be like, "No, I ain't casting. That's kind of scary. It's a lot." So what did I do? I went and got a bookshelf just like this. This is why I got this. And then I got like all my books and I made it official. I got a nice camera. So when I hopped on that Zoom call, I knew it was like, this is a sales game. I got to sell them to get
Yes.
me on the show. And it worked. I got the position, spent 2 days with Grant, pitched him a 64 unit in Claremont, and I knew Grant. So when I say, "Yo, Grant, I got 64 units," he got excited. He was like, "Whoa, that might be." What's cool about it is it's like 2 or 3 doors down from a property he already owned back in like the 2000s. So that's just like knowing your customer, right? So like the
Right.
whole thing to me was a sales game, and I knew that. So got on the show. Can't obviously say what happened. It's going to go to a big network, which is going to be cool for me and my brand. And it's just the cool experience of like being around Grant, seeing how he thinks. It was just a really kind of, oh, I don't know the right word, but it came out of nowhere. I feel like the best things happen like that. I was not expecting that, and then boom, it just Grant just showed up.
Opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're obviously moving with intentionality, right? And
Mm-hmm.
when you mentioned it's a sales game, I think as an entrepreneur or any kind of business, you're always selling. You're selling yourself. You're selling an opportunity or a service
Mm-hmm.
or a product. But this obviously you being prepared, having that intent to be casted into this new, this opportunity. You prepared and got yourself there, and so that's pretty amazing, man. And so, when is that going to be launched? And then, do you have any idea where they'll have it like streamed or?
Yeah. He has said this publicly on podcasts, so that's why I feel comfortable saying it because he's already said it. But he has said potentially Warner Brothers, potentially Netflix, potentially Hulu. There's a lot of people circling around to buy it. I mean, he's got 10x Studios, so there's some attention on it. And when I tell people about it, they're like, "Yeah, dude, that's going to boost your brand." So a lot of what you guys see me doing the last 6 months, it was to prep for the moment that drops because I know I'm just going to get an influx of attention, like good attention that I can run ads on. So I wanted to be ready for that, and I feel that's why I've been posting once a day for the last 6 months. Is I want to just
Right.
build that base, and it's definitely working.
No, I mean when we've met last year, obviously like you and I haven't really been fully invested into content creation and doing all this stuff. And I definitely see you be very consistent and with what you do, and you actually provide amazing value.
Thank you.
And both on Instagram, TikTok, and obviously on your YouTube channel. Um, and like with that in mind, like what really gave you the inspiration to like really be fully into creating content and putting your brand out there?
Grant, 10x GrowthCon. It's
Wow.
February 12th. It's February 12th. And I'm like, dude, I just paid like $10,000 for my seat. I'm like, I'm a diamond, man. I got the diamond seat. And I'm like,
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what? I'm not leaving here and doing nothing because sometimes I do that. I just go home and live my life. I'm like, no, I'm committed to what I said I'm doing. So I committed to posting 365 times in 1 year. And I'm on track. I think I'm like 1 day off, no big deal. I'll catch up
Yeah.
whenever. I'll post 2 times a day. But my point is, I committed to it. And this is a little hack that, if, for your audience, I think is important. When you say you're going to do something on social media, it's not like I just said I was going to do it in my own head and then I didn't do it. I told everyone, all my followers. So, how, like, you got to have integrity, right? And like,
Right.
so when you tell some people you're going to do some things, you got to do it. So when I just start putting stuff into social media, like, hey, this is what I'm committed to doing, like, I don't pull back on my goals. I try and bust past my goals. I'm going to post more than 365 times. So, yeah, man, the commitment was the first step. And then there's one other thing I'll add to this. It
Yeah,
wasn't all rainbow and sunshine. I didn't like how I sounded. I didn't like the video. I didn't like what I was saying. And I think that there's something to that. A lot of people, they'll start for a month and then they kind of get over it. But you got to like push through that and take it like a month or two. And you'll come to a point where you just become your authentic self 24/7. And you see, the reason we all look up to Grant is because he don't give a shit. He's his authentic self.
right.
And so when you tap into the authenticity of who you are, then the message comes through and people can feel it. And then that's when you start really building connection with the people on the other side of that camera.
Definitely, I wholeheartedly agree with that. For the most part, I was very, very consistent every day since October of last year, and I learned that actually not necessarily just with Grant, but through Ryan Pineda,
Mm-hmm.
from my first Future Flipper event that I attended when I became a student. And he talked about leveraging social media, using all these social platforms for free marketing. And
Mm-hmm.
me being a new entrepreneur, like, and not have a lot of funds for paid advertising, I knew this was a way to go to put my brand out there. And essentially, I just been posting every day as well, and kind of stepped back a little bit, got too busy, and now just getting back into that posting content every day. But
I see it,
and
bro. That's
yeah, I
good.
appreciate that, and I appreciate you being positive and engaging with my posts and things like that. But
That's what
with
it's about.
your
People
yeah,
got to support the people around them. That's what's up.
and I talked about WealthCon and you talked about GrowthCon, right? So these are obviously networking opportunities, networking events, and masterminds. Personally, I see a lot of value in attending these events. Um, for one, obviously meeting like-minded people, but also meeting other entrepreneurs out there that I could network and learn from as well. In your case, as a real estate investor and entrepreneur, like, what are some of the your I would say the reason why you attend these events? Because you've been very, very consistent. Every single event that I go to for when it comes to the real estate side with Grant Cardone, I've seen you there, and obviously all the different WealthCon events. I feel like you're always there as well.
Yeah.
And so, what are your reasons, and why do you do it?
Well, I model a lot of my success on what Grant did when he was my age. I track what Grant has done because I want to, that's the path I want to go on. Right. So I go back, I watch YouTube videos and I see what was Grant doing between 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. Right?
Yeah,
He was traveling, going to seminars on the road,
right,
speaking to people, right? And yeah, I'm not
right,
on stage, but that's okay. But the key is he was going places across the United States, building this network of Grant Cardone. And that's why he became who he is, because he was out on the road meeting people. So I
right.
understand that if I go to LA, if I go to Vegas, if I go to Miami, there's going to be people there like minded from all across the US. And then if I can just meet some people every time, then they follow me on Instagram. They keep up with me. They see me walking my dog. They see me closing deals. Now, Chris Luna's brand has just expanded, and I
Right.
have people in every city. So for me, that's what it is. I want to go and like make eye contact with people, and then on the back end, when I get home, film content, disperse that content back out to stay top of mind. And then when I have a product or service to sell them, such as education or Luna Capital, I can drop those people in a bucket, and we do deals together.
No, that's pretty amazing, and likewise, so, for me, my experiences as well. Um, I'm very intentional with the people that I want to meet, and
Mm-hmm.
every single event and workshops and masterminds that I go to, I at least tell myself I'm gonna meet 10 high value people, whether they're
Mm-hmm.
real estate investors, or entrepreneurs and business owners. So I want to at least meet 10 people, and not just meet and say hi. Actually get to know them, exchange information, and connect after the event. And so far, in the last year that I've invested in all of these events and conferences, I definitely have built an amazing network, and I'm sure you have as well. Um, and
Absolutely.
and it's not cheap to
Mm-mm.
travel
Mm-mm.
and pay for these events. And I know you pay for the best seats, like you mentioned when you went to GrowthCon, you paid for a $10,000 seat, the diamond level. I was right behind you. That's my first event, but I definitely see the value in having access to the right room.
Mm-hmm.
And Grant Cardone talks about that, right? Pay for the best seat, and the reason
Absolutely.
being is because those are the ones that are more serious in what they're trying to achieve,
Yeah.
right? People that have done it and are just people that are serious to making to getting towards their specific goals, and that's why they pay for the best seats. And kind of a little bit about what happened to me is when I attended the 10x Business Boot Camp. As a somewhat of a new entrepreneur, I thought I was doing good. I attended my very first 10x Business Boot Camp and paid for the best seat, not really knowing the value of that. I just
Mm-hmm.
knew that I was capable of paying for something like that at that time, and led to my opportunity to speaking to Grant Cardone and Brandon Dawson 101, and ultimately how I became a business advisor. So I
Love it.
see, I see the value in that as well.
That's
Um,
awesome, man.
yeah, absolutely appreciate that. So, with starting your own business, whether it's your cell phone repair shop, and then basically towards this now in your real estate investing business, um, what are some of the challenges that you're facing or that you face that you could share with us?
So within real estate,
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about real estate.
some of the challenges could be right now where the market stands is sellers aren't necessarily market sellers. They're still stuck in 2022, 2021 pricing. And this is in multifamily at least. I see deals, but not as many. So there's a disconnect between what this seller thinks this property is worth in 21, 2022, and what Jerome Powell has increased rates. He's going to do it again here soon. And so the
Right.
values go down. So there's a disconnect between buyers and sellers. Therefore, there's less transactions. So that is the number one thing right now, and why you're not seeing as many things trade. That will change over time. There's billions of dollars of loans coming due here soon, so people will have to sell because they can't refinance because they haven't increased NOI, net operating income, up enough to get that new loan. So that's another thing is loans are going to be coming due, and so another challenge I would say is um, deal flow. You're just not seeing as many deals. What else? What else? As far as like the day-to-day operations that I see, in California, there's a lot of tenant protections, so you got to watch out for that. That's not everywhere, but so that's something to be cautious of. Um, what else? But yeah, there's a lot of challenges on the day-to-day stuff. A lot of the challenges that I see right now are on the financing side because this is a historical increase in rates, and that has really it's no one's ever seen this. So people are a little
Right.
scared. Some people are on the sidelines. So that's the big one is the debt.
Absolutely. I think what's happening now with the current economy, it was a lot different back when we first hit recession in 2008, 2009. I was
Mm-hmm.
already old enough to understand what was happening at that time. Matter of fact, my first single family home that I purchased was around 2006. It was in the midst of that. Um, but with that in mind, like in today's economy, right, it's different because from what I'm seeing, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you're the guru when it comes to the real estate market. And
Appreciate that.
is there do we have a lot of like what would you say like was there a lot of is there a lot of housing opportunity that you can purchase multifamily or single family today compared to how it was before, or just not a lot of um, what's that word I'm thinking about? There's not a lot of
Opportunity. Opportunity.
opportunities today. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little different. Like in 2008, 2009, I didn't even know what's going on. Like everyone's going bankrupt, all this stuff. I was in
Right.
college just like having a good time. I'm
Yeah.
like oblivious to what happened in 08, 09. But now that
Right.
I'm older, I understand what happened.
Right.
People were losing their homes, and the single family homes were going back to the banks. So this was a single family home bust, right? In
Right.
which the banks got the homes back because everyday people like my mom and dad, everyone, like they could not afford those payments anymore. And the value of the property was upside down. So they're over here making these payments for what reason? So people freaked, people were filing bankruptcy, and that was that. This is different. Right now, people aren't freaking out. They all have low interest rates. We just went through the lowest interest rate period of like all time. Like my parents were probably like locked in at 2.79, 2.9, ridiculous. So we don't have a single family housing crisis right now, in my opinion. I don't see it. What we do see is there's a multifamily property issue. And that's because
Wow.
all the loans coming due. Everyone thought that interest rates would continue to stay low and that rents would continue to go up. So everyone wants to buy these properties, flip them in 2 years. That didn't happen. So there's a commercial real estate issue where loans are coming due. This fall, it's like in the billions what's coming due. And if they can't refinance, they have to sell at a loss just to get their money back to some investors. So it's more of a multifamily issue that I'm seeing on this bubble or whatever you want to call it. But you know what? You got the election year next year. Weird things happening election years. So prepare. That's why I was selling off property and like moving into cash because I want to strike and buy something. If
So you're preparing yourself for when this actually happens, and you're prepared to put in an offer at that point.
Yeah, all the big dogs who got started, like my mentor Robert Martinez, he got started in 2011, right after the crash, and so these people who have 5,000 units, they usually got started like at the bottom, and they ride it up for 10 years.
Right.
Um, so you do that a few cycles, and then someday you're grand, you have a billion. Like I do plan to get to $1 billion as its assets under management. There is without without a doubt in my mind, I will get a billion in real estate. So when you
I
have that
believe
goal and you have goals that big, like you put them out in the world, watch, we'll come back and watch this in 10 years and I'll have a billy.
absolutely. Yeah, I think we kind of talked about that before.
I
Speak your
think
goals into.
your video went out.
Do you still see me?
No, I can't. Recording continues smoothly. Live video will return when their internet improves. Oh, yep, you're all good. It's still recording.
Oh,
We just can't see you.
absolutely. Well, I'll have my editor fix all that stuff, and but kind of like what we talked about before, to speaking your goals into existence, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
I definitely believe that you'll get there because of what I've seen in the last year that you've been doing, and who you've associated yourself with, who your mentors are. Definitely, I agree with that. For me, as far as my goals on business, when I was doing these weekly calls with Grant Cardone for our business advisor group, they basically asked us like, all right, what are your intentions? What are your goals? Like, put it out there.
Mm.
So one of the goals that I put out was, something big is, in 5 years, I want to be earning, well, initially I said, I want to be, valued at, my net worth to be at 10 million.
There you
But he
go.
said, yeah, but he
Great
said
goal.
like, no, let's change that. Let's change it to
100 mil.
where you're earning 10 million a year
Ooh, that's
5 years
good.
in my business ventures. So, and I believe him because I'm learning from the best, right? From Grant
Hmm.
Cardone, the best, I would say probably one of the best sales and marketing expert in the world. And obviously with Brandon Dawson, who's one of the best when it comes to scaling businesses. And I have no doubt, as long as I keep learning from these guys and putting into action what they teach me, I think I'll get there in 5 years.
I
But
love it, man. I
but
can't
it's
wait.
yeah. Go ahead.
I can't wait to see the growth of you because you're all in on Cardone Ventures and the 10x, and like your mentors are amazing. And like when you what's cool just real quick is like that took them 30 years to learn. Like you're going to get it in a crash course in like 2 years,
Right.
and then you're going to go apply it for 3 years, and in 5 years you're going to hit your goal.
See the
I love it.
yeah, and that's the value of having a business advisor or a coach or a mentor, right? Because you
Mhm.
have one, I have one. In the military, we value that as well. It's
Mhm.
important to have a great mentor to help you succeed in whatever goals that you have. And yeah, certainly for me, I'm very blessed to somehow find or get this opportunity to have the right mentors. And it wouldn't have happened if I didn't go to one of these workshops or events, right?
Hmm.
and that's why I think I'm very I'm like I'm a big proponent of people attending these workshops, getting advisors and mentors to help you with your goals, whether it's be business or real estate investing.
Yeah,
But certainly
love
for
that.
you, I, you know, I want to ride that wave too. Like I mentioned that before. I mentioned that many, many times. I definitely would love to invest in one of your deals in the future and continue to elevate and help each other out. I know I'm going to learn a lot more on real estate investing on the multifamily level through you, and I'm sure I could provide value to you in regards to like scaling your business, right? So I
Absolutely.
think I think moving forward, I think we'll definitely have a very good partnership. Um,
100%, man. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And so I wanted to ask you, with the business coaching or the coaching itself, the mentorship, because now
Hmm.
you're providing that, right? Um,
Yep.
could you tell us a little bit more about that and why you got it started?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, as a real estate investor, you get deal fatigue. You can only do so many deals before it's like, man, what's the point? Okay, make another 500K, make a million. Like, cool. Like, but what's the point of that? Right. So
Yeah,
you get tired. I've done 35 deals or 35 transactions in my lifetime in this short amount of time I've been here. And I'm like, well, there's got to be more. Okay. So I see grant coaching, I see other people coaching. I'm like, okay, maybe that's the progression. I've been doing this for 7 years. Like maybe I can go and pour into others, provide value, help. And it's been great. I'm pouring into people like one-on-one coaching. I'm filming a course. All this good stuff's coming. I mean, people are paying for my services because I have a lot of knowledge. I'm in the right
right,
circles. Like I'm pretty unique. Like I don't know anyone who's in Ryan's, Robert Martinez's, and Grant's mastermind. I'm like
right.
you combine all of them together and you get Chris Luna. And so
Heck yeah,
yeah, and I like that the business is scalable. So I mean, I can help a lot of people. And really, my goal is I want to make a bunch of people millionaires. And if I can make a bunch of people millionaires, like their lives are changed and their families' lives are changed. And that not only does it feel good, but like you're actually helping someone. Like you're like taking them from wherever they're at to like where they're going, right? On the come up. So it's exciting, man. I love it.
bro. I love that, and I definitely value that myself as well. When I first started my entrepreneurial journey, I hired a business coach, and specifically this business coach, he's a YouTuber.
Hmm.
He has podcasts, and he's got a group coaching program for recruiting agencies because he scaled it into an eight-figure business. And so he started coaching and provides so much value. And I definitely one of the biggest reasons why I became very successful as an entrepreneur is because I hired a business coach. I was willing to
Mm,
pay, the amount of money at the time um, to hire this guy to help me succeed. And I wouldn't be successful as fast as I did without this business coach that I hired. And I definitely see the value of that. And instead of doing it yourself. So for anybody who's wanting to be a full-time, real estate investor and specifically into multifamily, I think you'd be a great coach to learn from. Um,
appreciate that.
and I know your coaching business is going to be pretty big. And you and I
Yeah,
will, I'll be doing the business coaching, advising on this side, and you'll be on the multifamily. And I know we'll share each other's experiences to how to making our coaching groups a lot better in the future.
absolutely. Yeah,
Good.
I just got off a coaching call. Client signed up yesterday
Nice.
and today was the onboarding call. And man, like it was interesting. So I want to say something real quick. Before all of this, I had a limiting belief. I was like, dude,
Right.
ain't no one want me teaching them. Like, I don't know anything. I'm not
Yeah.
smart. But like, you got to remember, this is years of info in my brain. So we hop on this call, and I'm just supposed to go over like, you want to do flips, you want to do wholesales, just the basics. But I
Right.
start pouring into this guy, and he was like asking me all these questions, and he was so thankful. He's like, dude, like I've been wondering this stuff for years. Like, and
Wow.
he sees my success and he trusts me. He's like, dude, if he's like, I was like, what do you want to do? Multifamily? You want to do this? And he's like, dude, just he was basically telling me like, whatever I say, he's gonna do. And it's like he trusts me because he sees the results, right? Results don't lie. And
Right.
so I think if you're on the fence about becoming a coach, like if you have results, results don't lie. And if you can just learn how to communicate with people and motivate them, you mix all that together, and man, the sky's the limit.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I know you will make a lot of people rich.
Yeah,
Um,
I
and
agree. I'm stoked.
I'll be standing by because I
Let's
definitely want
go.
to be a part of that journey as
You as well,
well.
man. You as well. You're gonna crush it in your business, man. I love it.
Yes, sir. I definitely we have the same intentions.
We do.
Um, I find it, as on the coaching side, I want to help others be successful as well.
Hmm.
And just share my journey, my experiences, and what made me successful. Obviously, I'm not there yet, but the great thing is I have the right resource and tools and team like Grant Cardone, Brandon Dawson, and the entire Cardin Ventures team, C suite, and all them to help me, you know, um, with my business and my journey as a business advisor as well. So it's not
Love
like
it.
I'm teaching other, seven-figure business owners what made me successful, because some of them will be more successful than I am today. But what
Hmm.
I'm actually teaching them is essentially the brain of Brandon Dawson and Grant Cardone. You know, I pretty much
Yep.
have it in a, let's say, in a hard drive, essentially, and the type of topics and the different information that I'd be able to help them with their business is really coming from those two guys. You
Yeah.
know,
It's
I'm
it's
just I
amazing.
guess somebody that can deliver that for them because Grant and Brandon's way too busy, and that's why
Hmm.
they started this business advisor franchise because they can't reach everybody else, at the
Yeah.
same time,
Makes total
and
sense. Yeah.
that's where we come from. And I'm pretty in just 6 months of getting certified, bro. I feel like my brain is like so filled with this information, and it's I can't even wait to put. I'm already putting everything into my own business, and I just can't wait to see the results.
Yeah.
So it's
Absolutely,
pretty
man.
exciting.
That's great. I love it. I love it.
And well, let's see. So in regards to basically your journey now, I don't know if I told you I'm almost finished with the book that I'm writing. Think it's a business scaling book. How to start a business and scale it is what I titled it. And it's a combination of my journey, starting with the Navy, how I came up from there, and then how I became an entrepreneur, and eventually leading to my partnership with Grant and Brandon Dawson. So I'm almost done with writing my book. I have this company who's helping me, like, write it properly and all that stuff, and
Hmm.
eventually
Nice.
publishing it in the next month. Um, have you ever thought about writing a book? Because I feel like you have a lot of knowledge that you could share
Yeah.
in that book. Have you ever thought about that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I got a few books in me for sure. I think that the content's nice, and as I grow that following and I actually have people who want to read the book, yes, absolutely. I think just it's not going to be multifamily specifically, it's going to be everything I've learned. So a lot of what I'm doing on Threads is when I have
Hmm.
ideas, I'll share them on Threads, and someday I actually go through all my threads and have my ghostwriter or whoever's going to help me write it kind of look through those ideas. And I actually might not hire a ghostwriter. I don't know yet, but um I've always been a writer since I was a little kid. I would like write little stories and like draw my like little cartoon figures. So I'm super into writing, and that's definitely. I think that could be something within the next 2 to 3 years. I do.
No, that's pretty amazing, man.
And congrats on your book, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's you were at the WorldCon at Hollywood, right? And
Yes, sir.
selfpublishing.com, shout out to them. They're actually the one that's helping me out. I signed up at
Love
that
that.
day um after meeting those guys. I said, you know what? I've been thinking about writing a book. It's going to help with my brand, my credibility, and yeah.
Hmm.
So I they've been helping me with their program, doing weekly calls, coaching calls. That's why I value coaching calls, or having a coach. There's different expertise in different industries, and such things like that. So they're actually helping me as I write the book. I turn
Hmm.
it into them, they'll fix it and whatever and whatnot. So
That's awesome. Love
we're
it, man.
almost there. So
That's
I'll
awesome.
definitely give you a copy of it.
Yeah, let me know
um,
when it comes out.
yeah, real soon, man. they're helping me with the marketing side and launching it. Using different strategies and stuff like that. But
That's awesome,
but
dude. Yeah, look forward
that's
to
pretty
helping you
exciting. I
promote it.
think. Thank you. I think, like I said, I think you'd have some great value, but if by writing a book and sharing it to others out there as well. Um,
100%. Yep.
we're hitting towards 45 minutes, man. You shared such amazing content and valuable information. For the ones that don't know you, where can they follow you and kind of if they wanted to learn more about your coaching program and follow you in social media?
Yeah, first and foremost, like, thank you so much for having me on your show. It was truly an honor. Like, I had a lot of fun, like, sharing my story. And sometimes I don't even know I'm gonna like share new stories, like some of the stuff I shared. So that's cool to just like get it out of my mind and just
Yeah,
put it out in the world and be honest and vulnerable. So that's cool. So thank you. I'm on all social media: Twitter, LinkedIn, Threads, everywhere. Chris J. Luda. The J stands for my middle name, so Chris J. Luna. Most active on Instagram. If you DM me, I'll chat with you there. And as far as my coaching program, yeah, I post daily content. You can kind of see I go live every Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time with Brandon Fortino, my marketing guy. And so we kind of basically do coaching. I'm coaching him live on real estate for half the show, and he's coaching me on marketing. And we have this collaboration. So kind of how I talk to Brandon there, that's how coaching would be. And so if
that's
there's any
awesome.
interest in coaching, hit me up. You're only going to probably keep my one-on-one coaching to probably 15 clients until I go to like a big Zoom room. But right now I'm
Right.
trying to pour into people as much as possible. So DM me on Instagram and we'll get them set up on coaching if there's any interest out there.
That's amazing, Chris. Well, thank you again for your time, bro. And again, this is the Keeping It Real podcast with Jay Real, which Chris had given me the idea. I've been unsure what I'm going to name this podcast, so here we go. Keeping It Real with Jay Real podcast. 10x baby, I love it. Chris, thanks so much for your time, brother. Wish you all the best,
Thank you.
and we're going to go back to this episode and look back and see what we've accomplished so far.
10x everything. God bless America. Let's go.
Yes, sir. All right. Thanks, everybody. Please, if you like this episode, if you found value into this content and this podcast, definitely please subscribe and follow me for more. Appreciate you guys. God bless. Take care. Bye
Late.
bye.